Mama Tembo, debt settled, 20,000 shillings. Payment delivered in secrecy. Mama Tembo's face paled. You knew about this? Zuri turned to the old woman, her voice laced with betrayal. You were part of it? Mama Tembo's lips trembled, but Biko was quicker. You think this is proof? He scoffed. We all knew Tumalo had debts, but that doesn't explain his death. Tell them, Ayanda. Tell them why he died. The heavy wooden door crashed open as Biko stormed inside, his boots striking the marble floor with purpose. Behind him, Mama Tembo followed, her wrinkled face twisted in determination. A wave of villagers flooded in, their murmurs blending into a restless hum of suspicion and excitement. The once grand mansion, now a battlefield, held its breath. Ayanda stood motionless at the foot of the grand staircase, her spine stiff, her face an unreadable mask. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, but she did not flinch. Zuri, standing just a few feet away, could barely breathe. She had seen the fire in Biko's eyes before, but this time it burned hotter. The villagers weren't just watching, they were waiting. Biko lifted his arm, and in his hand was a photograph, old and yellowed with time. At first, Zuri only saw Tumelo's familiar face, his confident smirk frozen in history. Then, her gaze drifted to the man standing next to him, and her stomach twisted. It was Biko. The crowd gasped. Even Ayanda's sharp composure faltered for a brief second. You knew him, Ayanda said, her voice eerily calm but her eyes stormy. Biko's smirk widened. I didn't just know him. I built him. He turned to the villagers, raising the photograph. Before he was the man you all respected, he was my business partner. We made a fortune together, until he got greedy, until he turned on me. And when he died, well, I wasn't surprised. Zuri clenched her fists. You're lying, she blurted out. Biko barely glanced at her. Am I? He turned back to Ayanda. You see, Tumalo wasn't the man you all thought he was. But I think you knew that already, didn't you, Ayanda? A heavy silence followed. Tell them what you did, Biko continued, stepping closer. Tell them the truth about Tumalo's death. Ayanda's lips parted slightly, but no words came. The accusations hung in the air like a noose tightening around her neck. Quena stepped forward. This is ridiculous. If Tumalo wronged you, why come after Ayanda now? After all these years? Biko's expression darkened. Because she has something that belongs to me. His eyes flicked towards the desk where the old leather-bound ledger sat, its cracked spine barely holding together. Ayanda followed his gaze. A new layer of understanding dawned on her. This, she said, resting a hand on the book, is what you really came for, isn't it? Biko exhaled sharply. Give it to me. Ayanda shook her head. You think I don't know what's in here? You think I don't know what Tumalo was doing before he died? This isn't just a record of business transactions. This book holds every dirty deal, every bribe, every betrayal. It's not just about Tumalo. It's about you, about Mama Tembo, about all the men who profited from his corruption. The villagers shifted uncomfortably. Some exchanged uncertain glances. Mama Tembo's face contorted. Lies, she spat. You're trying to turn them against us. Ayanda flipped the ledger open, running her fingers down the ink-stained pages. Then, let's see, shall we? The crowd leaned in. Zuri peered over Ayanda's shoulder, her heart hammering. The page Ayanda had stopped on bore names, dates, transactions, and among them one entry stood out. Mama Tembo, debt settled, 20,000 shillings. Payment delivered in secrecy. Mama Tembo's face paled. You knew about this? Zuri turned to the old woman, her voice laced with betrayal. You were part of it? Mama Tembo's lips trembled, but Biko was quicker. "You think this is proof?" he scoffed. "We all knew Tumalo had debts, but that doesn't explain his death. Tell them, Ayanda. Tell them why he died." Ayanda shut the ledger with a loud snap. "I didn't kill him," she said evenly. "But someone in this room did." The villager stirred. Zuri gripped the back of a chair to steady herself. "Then tell us who," Biko pressed. A voice rang out from the doorway. "I will." A heavy silence settled over the room, thick with unspoken truths. The villagers, who had moments ago been hungry for blood, now exchanged uneasy glances. It was no longer a question of whether Tumalo had secrets. It was about who else was keeping them. Then, from the doorway, came the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps. The villagers turned in unison, their murmurs dying on their lips as an elderly man stepped inside, his frail frame barely supported by a wooden cane. His long, sand-coloured coat dusted against the polished floor, his weathered hands clutching a sealed envelope. It was Jabari, Tumalo's former lawyer. "I have something that must be heard," he announced, his voice firm despite his years. The weight of his words was enough to hold the room hostage. Ayanda exhaled sharply. She had not seen Jabari in a long time. There was a time when she had trusted him, once a close friend of her late husband. But that was before Tumalo's affairs had unravelled, before the rumours, before the accusations. She had thought Jabari had left that life behind, choosing to fade into quiet obscurity. But now, here he was, holding what looked like one last confession. Jabari turned toward the villagers and then to Ayanda. "I was Tumelo's legal counsel. Before his death, he entrusted me with this document. He instructed me only to reveal it if there was ever a question about the circumstances of his passing." He lifted the envelope slightly. "And now, that time has come." The villagers shifted. A few of them still held expressions of doubt, but more were growing restless. Even those who had sided with Biko now wanted answers. Jabari slowly peeled open the seal and pulled out a single sheet of aged parchment. The paper crinkled as he unfolded it. Then, in a voice that rang through the tense air, he began to read, "If you are hearing this, then I am gone. And if I am gone, then it means I never got the chance to tell Ayanda the truth. I have wronged her in more ways than I can count. But there is one betrayal she must know about, one that has put us all in danger. I was going to leave. I was going to take everything and disappear. But someone found out, and they wouldn't let me go so easily. If anything happens to me, you already know who to look at." The room exploded into chaos. Gasps and shouts overlapped. Some villagers demanded to know what this meant. Others turned to Ayanda, wondering if she had known all along. Zuri stared at the paper, her mind racing. Tumalo had planned to leave? He was running from someone? Ayanda's hands clenched at her sides. This isn't possible. Jabari met her gaze. "You know what this means, Ayanda." She shook her head slowly, her pulse hammering. "It means the real killer has been among us all along." And she finally knew who it was. The murmurs of the villagers swelled into an unbearable wave of noise. Some turned to Biko, their eyes filled with accusation, while others stole uneasy glances at Mama Tembo. Everyone was looking for someone to blame. Ayanda took a slow step forward, her gaze burning into the crowd. She saw the shifting of feet, the darting of eyes, fear taking hold, because for the first time, the blame had no clear direction. And then her eyes landed on Mama Tembo. Zuri followed her stare, and suddenly everything clicked. Mama Tembo had been too insistent, too desperate to turn the village against Ayanda. She had spoken in half-truths, ensuring just enough suspicion lingered in the air. And all the while, she had conveniently positioned herself as an ally to Biko, pushing him to uncover Tumalo's sins. Ayanda inhaled deeply. "You knew, didn't you?" Mama Tembo's lips twitched. "What are you talking about?" "You knew Tumalo was leaving," Ayanda continued, her voice gaining strength. "You knew he was planning to take his fortune and never look back. And you couldn't let that happen." The villagers turned to Mama Tembo now. The old woman lifted her chin, but a flicker of uncertainty passed across her face. Biko frowned. "Wait a minute, what is she saying?" Ayanda ignored him. She took another step toward Mama Tembo. Tumalo was a selfish man. He made many mistakes. But one mistake he never made was betraying his own survival instinct. If he knew someone wanted him dead, he would have run before they got the chance. Zuri's breath hitched. "But he didn't run," Ayanda nodded, "because someone made sure he couldn't." All eyes locked onto Mama Tembo. The old woman exhaled sharply, her face a storm of emotions. "You don't know what you're talking about," she hissed. Ayanda turned back to Jabari. "Does that letter say anything else?" Jabari slowly unfolded the bottom portion of the paper. His expression darkened. "It mentions a debt." Mama Tembo's fingers twitched. Jabari continued reading. Tumalo owed someone a great deal of money. Someone who had risked everything to make sure his business thrived. Someone who was willing to do whatever it took to get back what they were owed. Mama Tembo took a step back. "This is nonsense." But now the village was looking at her differently. "You killed him," Zuri whispered. Mama Tembo's expression twisted into something dark. "He deserved it," she spat. "He was going to take everything and leave us all to rot." A wave of disgust spread through the villagers. Biko's face hardened. "You used me," he growled. "You let me think, Ayanda." Mama Tembo suddenly lunged for the ledger, but she was too late. The villagers reacted swiftly, blocking her escape. Quena stepped in front of the door. Several men grabbed her arms as she thrashed wildly, screaming curses. Biko stood frozen, his confidence shattered. His entire mission had been based on lies. He had spent years believing Ayanda was the enemy, only to discover the real traitor had been beside him all along. "You let me fight your battles," Biko muttered, his voice low with rage. "You let me think I was uncovering justice when all I was doing was finishing your revenge." Mama Tembo's lip curled. "You were too blind to see the truth for yourself." The elders stepped forward. One of them, a man with greying hair and a solemn expression, looked to Ayanda. "You have been wronged, Ayanda, and you have suffered for too long." He gestured to Mama Tembo. "She will answer for her crimes." Mama Tembo snarled, but she knew it was over. The weight that had pressed against Ayanda's chest for so many years finally lifted. But something told her that this wasn't truly over. As the villagers slowly filtered out of the mansion, their hushed voices carried remnants of shock and regret. Some murmured apologies to Ayanda. Others simply walked away, uncertain of what to say. Zuri remained close to Ayanda's side, her young face lined with thoughts she wasn't ready to voice. Biko stood near the door, staring at the ground. Ayanda approached him, waiting for him to speak. After a long silence, he finally muttered, "I was wrong about you." "You were," Ayanda agreed. He nodded once, then turned and disappeared into the night. That night, Ayanda stood on the mansion's balcony, gazing at the moon. The weight of years of suspicion and pain had not fully left her, but something inside her had shifted. Zuri joined her, wrapping her arms around herself. "Does this mean it's finally over?" Ayanda took a deep breath. "No, Zuri. It means we rebuild." And in the silence of the night, they did not look back. If you enjoyed this powerful story of truth, justice, and resilience, there's so much more waiting for you. Join us on this journey of captivating African tales filled with mystery, wisdom, and unforgettable moments. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be the first to experience our next thrilling story. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And let's keep the magic of storytelling alive together.